Fishing off foot or fishing around the bank can allow you to access a lot of areas that you normally wouldn't be able to access with the boat, and it can be some of the most fun fishing that you'll ever have. So I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about some of the tools you need to be a better bank fisherman, so you have a better experience when you're out there on the water. So first thing about bank fishing, most of the time when you mention that, the first thing that people think about is limited access, limited resources, not really being able to do what you need to do to catch fish. And that's simply not the truth. And I've learned that personally. Honestly, the way I was introduced to fishing was through the competition aspect from my dad. And I really didn't get to do a lot of bank fishing until later on in life, and honestly, I really didn't get that serious about it until last year, when I was introduced to wading rivers. And I can tell you from experience, it's probably one of the funnest ways that you can fish. When you're fishing off foot, you can reach places that no boat will ever get to. You're typically going to areas that have a lot less pressure. You could reach an area that fish have never seen a bait before, or very seldom see baits. So fishing by foot or fishing off the bank can really allow you to experience some waterways, experience places that you wouldn't normally be able to get to by boat. Fishing off the bank does take a little bit more effort, but I can promise you the reward sometimes can really pay off if you're willing to put in the work. So let me talk to you a little bit about some of the tools that I've used that has really made fishing off the bank a lot easier for me. One of the challenges when you're fishing off foot is tackle storage. You know, you've got to carry everything that you need with you. So having a good backpack, this is one of the ones I've just recently started using. You don't have to have one quite this fancy. I got kind of serious about it last year. This is a Plano Z series. This is new from them. You're gonna want a good backpack because you're gonna have to carry everything that you need for that day of fishing with you. So if you need crankbaits, soft plastics, fishing line, your snacks, your food, your drinks, cell phones. I usually carry a spare battery pack for my cell phone, a charger pack for my cell phone, and I usually keep my camera gear with me too. So I need a lot of excess storage in my backpack. So you know, you can go get a cheap book bag, like a school book bag works. This Z series has a lot of storage everywhere. It carries like 3 or 4 tackle boxes on the inside, but usually I don't carry that much tackle. I usually know exactly what I'm going to tie, what I'm going to use, and I can put this on my back and I hike just about anywhere that I need to go to catch fish. So I can hike through the woods, I can hike over rocks. It's a pretty athletic way to fish, so you need something that really fits good, that's going to be comfortable on you while you're fishing the entire day. The second thing I've learned when I'm out there fishing off the bank is braided line is your friend. So every chance I get to use braided line, I'm going to use it, because when I make a cast out there, if I hook a fish on long line, or if I catch a big fish, a lot of times you don't know what you're going to catch. You might catch a catfish, you could catch gar, you could catch bass, you could catch a multitude of different species. So being that you can't really get out into the water to fight the fish or follow him, you need a stout line, stout rod and reel. You need something that you can really muscle fish with. If you get hung, you need to be able to get that bait back. So braided line is your friend. I learned that from fishing out of a kayak as well. A lot of times when you're fishing out of a kayak moves along, so when you go to set the hook on them, a lot of times you don't get good hook penetration because the boat tends to move towards where you're pulling. So even a small fish can actually pull the boat. So braided line, since there's no stretch, you're gonna have a lot better hook penetration even when you're fishing off the bank too. So I definitely would suggest you guys on your line choices, definitely spool up with braided line, and if you need to, just tie a tippet or tie a leader, a fluorocarbon if need be, but definitely use braided line. It's going to be your friend. It's going to save you in a lot of different circumstances. You know, as far as rod and reels, you really have to keep it simple with your tackle when you're fishing off the bank. That is one of the few disadvantages. You don't want to carry a lot of stuff with you because you'll have to deal with it wherever you go. I keep 2 rods, and I typically only carry 1 with me when I'm actually fishing. I keep an extra one in my truck just in case I need it, but I keep a good spinning rod. You'll need a good durable spinning outfit. Keep in mind, if you're fishing off the bank, you're going to be going through the woods, you're going to be laying it down on dirt, you're going to get it wet, so you want a good piece of equipment, something that has really good sealed bearings so you don't get a lot of dirt inside the reel. That's typically what makes a reel wear is dirt. So you want to get a good spinning outfit. This particular one is just a 7-foot favorite with the 7-foot with the 1500 series Yampa River spinning reel. You use, you know, whatever size is best for you, but I like a good spinning outfit, and most of the time I am going to use a spinning outfit because it lets me get the distance I need. If I'm in some trees and I can't rear back to make a good cast, I can just flip out there real easily with the spinning rod. Bait casting equipment, I use just a 7-foot rod with a 6:3:1 gear ratio reel. This is a 7-foot rush right here. A good durable bait casting outfit, something that's pretty stiff and stout so you can muscle those fish out of structure because you won't be able to go chase them, like I said, on foot. You're kind of stuck to one place, so you want a good stiff rod that you can move that fish with. But spool it up with a braid. Both of these applications, I'm definitely going to spool them up with a braid. It's going to last longer. I don't have to worry about replacing that line when I'm out there, and I don't have to worry about breaking it off as bad. So definitely spool up with braid, whether you're using a spinning outfit or your bait casting equipment when you're fishing off the bank. And I think you'll have a lot better hookup ratios. Your landing ratio is going to be better, and you're going to get your baits back if you get stuck. So another tip, this is often overlooked by guys that fish off of the bank, is using electronics. We live in an age where there's electronics and apps for everything. So I can promise you, Google Maps is your friend. Google Earth is your friend. That's what I use. I looked just the other night, just around where I live at, and there's about 5 or 6 ponds within walking distance of my home, and I found them all on Google Earth. And I can find roadways, I can find paths through the roads, there may be walking trails. You can use electronics for fishing off the bank just as much as I do when I'm fishing for competition on any lake or river in the United States. So use your electronics, use Google Earth, find those little places that are unreachable by boat, or that a lot of people aren't taking the time to work through the woods and hike through the woods to get there. Google Earth is going to be your friend, and if you'll use those tools, you're going to be able to find places that people won't fish, they won't take the time to get there, and there'll be fish there that probably are pretty vulnerable and easy to catch. So definitely use electronics, use technology, and that's going to help you fishing off the bank as well. So down to the nitty-gritty. I'm sure this is the part that everybody is interested to know, is the baits that I like to fish when I'm fishing off the bank. And honestly, it's not much different than when I'm out there fishing on the lake out of my bass boat. It's not a whole lot of difference, but there's a couple that I always make sure I have just because they seem to work really well when you're fishing off the bank. And one of them is a rattle trap. Just as an original rattle trap. There's so many different colors, there's so many different variations, so many different sizes. I can target a lot of different species of fish. There's one for panfish, striper, bass, smallmouth, spotted bass. There's so many different species of fish that I can target with just an original rattle trap. So it works really well. A rattle trap is a small, heavy, compact bait. I can zing that thing way out there. Since I'm limited to mobility wise, I can sling that rattle trap a long ways out there and reach stuff out in the middle of a pond, out in the middle of a river. So it allows me to cover a lot more water when I'm fishing a rattle trap. So I don't care where I'm going, what I'm fishing for, I'm gonna have a few select colors in an original rattle trap in my box. Another bait that I'm always gonna have is gonna be a Ned rig. The Ned rig is the same deal, Same deal with the Ned rig as it is with the original trap. You can catch so many different species of bass or just fish in general on the Ned rig. It's a small bait, so it's a very appealing. Sometimes you'll go to some of these waterways and they won't always have the biggest fish in them. So the Ned rig is a good bait. It's simple, it's easy to pack in my tackle storage. It's just a small hunk of soft plastic. This is a Z-Man hula sticks and
red
finesse
shrimp
shrooms head. 1/20th ounce, 1/15th ounce, that's all I use. So that allows me to keep my tackle light so I'm not wearing myself down, and it leaves more room for me to carry things that are really more important when you're fishing off the bank. Your cell phone, just in case something happens, snacks, drinks, water, that's very important. It's almost more important than tackle when you're out there fishing, because a lot of times I'm a long way away from my vehicle or safety. So a Ned rig is a good bait to use. I can use it in so many different water clarities. It just works in a bunch of different situations. So I've got to have a Ned rig when I'm fishing off the bank. And lastly is small poppers and frogs. I definitely love to have poppers and frogs when I'm fishing off the bank. There's just something about pond fish, river fish, or accessing places where are typically shallow that a frog and poppers, small poppers, just seem to work very, very well. I always have those, especially in the summertime. I'm always gonna have those in my box. They work for bass. If I run up behind a dam and there's striper or white bass or white perch there, they love a small popper, especially during the fall time of the year. So I'm gonna keep some type of topwater bait, whether it be a buzz bait, a popper, or a frog. I've got to have some type of topwater in my bag at all times, because you never know when that opportunity to get a topwater bite that we all love so much, you never know when that opportunity comes up, and I want to be ready for it, so I'll keep that with me as well. So that's a little bit about how I tackle fishing off the bank, some of the tools I use to make me more efficient, to make it easier, and so I get a few more bites out there. Hope you'll try it. If you don't have a boat, make sure you get out there, use your electronics, get you some good tools, get you 2 good rods. Keep everything simple, tight, easy to use, and you're gonna have a lot of fun out there fishing off the bank.